Welcome to another episode of the Math Party. I'm your host with the most, Mr. Young, and I'm here to talk to you about graphing quadratic equations and finding vertex form. As you can see, I'm circling or underlining the form of the vertex. It is a parentheses x minus h close parentheses squared plus k. Now, we're going to find this, but first things first is we're going to graph it first. Once we graph it, we'll figure out what we need to do to figure things out. Now, we know what the vertex form is. The vertex is always in h comma k, right? Now, as you can see, once we find the vertex, we have 1/3 of the equation already taken care of. So let us find it. So h is another way of saying x. And that is, what is the formula for that? Usually it's the maximum minimum. It is negative b over 2a. Well, that case, it gives me negative 6 over 2 times 1, which is 2. And that gives us negative 3. There we go. So that's half of it. Half of it's ready to go. Now, let's take a look at k. Well, how do we find k? Well, that's easy. That's another way of saying y. This is y, so we plug it in. We have x. Since we have x, we can just simply solve for y. Negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 8. And that, in turn, gives us negative 1 if you plug it into the calculator. Well, that's good. We are a third of the way there. Well, we know we can start our graph. 1, 2, 3, negative 1. There's our first point. What is the axis of symmetry? We said that the axis of symmetry is h. It is always going to be h. So x is equal to h. Or, in this case, x is equal to negative 3. So, we are going to draw my nice little line. We are going to draw an axis of symmetry. It is a vertical line at x equals negative 3. Okay? Now, what's going to happen next is the fact that we must find a point left and right of the axis of symmetry. That's our next part once we finish graphing it. So, here's x, here's y. What's to the left of negative 3? Well, that is negative 4. Well, if you plug in negative 4 into the equation, hopefully I can write it small enough if I can fit all of it. If I have negative 4 squared plus 6 times negative 4 plus 8, if I plug this into the calculator, I should get 0. Now, we're going to do 1 to the right of negative 3 because we want 1 to the left, 1 to the right. Well, then 1 to the right is negative 2, so we're going to do it again. Negative 2 squared plus 6 times negative 2 plus 8, and that's equal to 0 again if you plug it into the calculator. Well, there's my 2 points. There we go. And last but not least is, what's the y-intercept? If x is 0, we know that's 0 and that's 0. That gives us 8. Well, here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's my graph. Well, we know that if it's 8, 1, 2, 3, we know it's an axis of symmetry. There's a mirror. 1, 2, 3. We know at the mirror there should be something there. Now, if we take a look at this, we can put our graph together. This thing's a little too long, so I gotta shorten it just a hair. Hopefully it will let me. If it doesn't, let's actually try graphing. Let's actually try drawing this. Yeah, close enough. But there's my graph. Now how do I find vertex form? Well, that's pretty easy. We have half the problem. So f of x is equal to, we're only missing a. We have x minus, but since it's negative, we switch the sign, so it's plus 3. That's a horrible 3, guys. I swear. Squared, and then minus 1. Now, how do we find a? Well, that's easy. We know that the formula is ax squared plus bx plus c. Well, a is what? 1. So we know our formula is 1. And that's how we find the vertex form. If they ever asks you to find the vertex form, find the vertex, and then find this number and plug it into your equation. Which means that you are going to have to memorize the equation, unless I give it to you. Well, there you have it. Graphing parabolas and finding the vertex. Both of these are done killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So, I will see you next time on the next episode of The Math Party. See you later. Bye-bye.